Hello, everyone. It is 6:10. If any advisors are joining later, then they can just join. But we're going to just go ahead and get started. Dad Wells, are you recording or am I?
I have a recording to the cloud right now, so you're good.
Cool. Thank you very much. So let's go ahead and get started. And here we go. Awesome. Can everybody see that okay? Sweet. Looks good. Once again, thank you everybody for coming to the Fall State Officer Keynote. It's an evaluation of what the state officers have been doing this fall, and it is also our vision for how we are going to tackle the spring. So let's just go ahead and get started here. Oops. So to begin, we'll go over some quick introductions and evaluation of the fall semester. So to introduce the principal officers and advisors, we have Gavin Masteller, the state senior counselor, Joe DeFrancis, the state junior counselor, Chris Burgess, the state marshal, Henry Herstead, the state chaplain, and Sarah Korducky, the state sweetheart. Our advisors, Mitch Beaudry, co-state officer advisor, Phil Itzenheiser, co-state officer advisor, and Eliza Lewitsky, the state sweetheart advisor. Introducing our district officers, who most of them are on the call with us. We have representing District 2, Giorgio Fuentes, District Master Counselor from West Bend. In District 3, we have Eric Bingheim, the District Master Counselor from Doric, John Stewart, Preceptor from Brookfield, and Michael Hartzler, Preceptor, representing Godfrey Bouillon. And this should say District 4, but the District Master Counselor is Nevis Potts from Kenosha and Mason Noble, Preceptor from Sir Galahad. So an evaluation of what us officers have been doing so far in the fall. Combined, the state officers have traveled almost 20,000 miles visiting chapters. In fact, I think this is actually just the principal officers, and this is actually not including the district officers' travels, who actually travel. They probably don't travel as far as principal officers, but they travel just as, if not more frequently. And this has been attending planning meetings, representing the jurisdiction at different Masonic organizations' events, and the biggest one of all, visiting chapters. By the end of October, today, we have visited 8 out of the 9 active chapters officially as a state officer corps. Some of our other successes are planning for large events has been extremely efficient. I can't stress enough how efficient planning has been for any kind of event due to clear lines of authority, delegation, and group effort. District officers have made visitations and state remarks a common agenda item for chapters. I don't think there are many chapter meetings that go by without some representation from the state. State ritual practices and check-ins by the state chaplain are the beginning of an important precedent, which can be discussed later. But the state chaplain has taken state degrees to a whole new level, and I'm very excited to see where he goes with that. And finally, Sweetheart Weekend planning, again, with those clear lines of authority and delegation, have laid the groundwork for our conclave planning beginning this December, and hopefully establishing a precedent for how state officers should evaluate and plan our large events. Some challenges that the state officers have faced this fall. The obvious one, the elephant in the room, is the pandemic. The pandemic has forced officers to change plans and then change them again. Over half a dozen state and district events were planned between the months of August and December. And out of those more than half a dozen, only one was able to happen, and that was actually today. That was District 4's mini golf event between Kenosha and Sir Galahad chapters. The cancellation of major state events has been a huge downer for us. TBSO, which was already finished planning way back in June, that was supposed to take place at the end of August. Chris Burgess, state marshal, did an absolutely amazing job planning that event. Honors Day in October with Mom and Dad Sorensen, us principal officers had a really great time planning that event. And unfortunately, it wasn't able to happen in person, but I'm very proud of the quick video that we were able to make honoring what would have been award and honor recipients. And finally, what would have happened in December is DProm. DeMolay prom is canceled. That's very unfortunate. We were hoping that we could have been able to put that social on. Some other challenges, major challenges, have been officer changes. Officer changes have caused hiccups in organization that contributed to short-term communication and planning errors. We've had to make 4 changes at the district level, but as I'll mention later, our districts have been able to rebound and quickly move forward. Overcoming some of these challenges, the state officers meet bi-weekly, which gives opportunities for officers to create a plan and develop it through a series of bi-weekly tasks and projects that build off of one another. It allows for a greater accountability over all kinds of projects, especially ones that require advisor input. With no events going on, no major events going on in the fall, district officers and principal officers can spend more time planning with the awesome gift of foresight. Henry has developed an extremely efficient program for administering state ritual. Gavin and Sarah have been able to focus on Sweetheart Weekend planning, of which the weekend was almost completely planned months ago, and since then we've only been making minor changes. Chris and Sarah have been able to develop important social and charity programs respectively. And finally, the districts have been able to spend time building relationships among their chapters and have planned a series of events to bring the chapters within their districts together. And some of the, one of the coolest things that we've been able to do, with no events, officers can spend more time visiting chapters. Many chapters, meetings, and events have been visited multiple times by at minimum 1 or 2 principal officers, and that's not including the official visitations that we've been doing. As I mentioned earlier, principal officers combined are probably at or past 20,000 miles in travel, and that's just official visitations, not including times where I've gone to a chapter on my own, or some of the other principal officers have gone to chapters on their own, and of course the district officers. Continuing on how we've been able to overcome some of these challenges, we consistently reorganize, reevaluate, and restructure our Google Drive to adapt to different officer needs and establish good record keeping. The state officers utilize a Google Drive, which is what we're using here, and it is massive. I think this Google Drive may take up already almost a gigabyte. It's tons of files. We utilize a series of trackers and shared documents so that officers are well aware of assigned tasks and where they apply. And this allows project leaders, usually myself, the DMCs, or for our big events, the chairmans, for example, Gavin overseeing Sweetheart Weekend. It allows project leaders to hold officers accountable while being held accountable themselves. Standardization of record keeping gives legitimacy to discussions and projects. Records allow us to view the history of documents, projects, and dialogues. A benefit of Google Drive is that we can see the history of a document, how it began, who made changes, comments, things like that. We also use an agenda notes system for our minutes. And as of today, we already have almost 24 minutes recording different kinds of meetings between district officers, principal officers, state officers together, Sweetheart Weekend meetings, Honors Day meetings, and eventually Conclave meetings. I project by Sweetheart Weekend, we will have close to 36 meeting minutes. And these minutes allow future state officers, future advisors to look back and evaluate and analyze what will end up being a year-long project of recording what exactly we are doing. So that completes our evaluation of the fall, and we're going to look forward to the spring. The state officers define the spring as January 1st through Conclave in July. So just a broad overview right off the bat, the spring calendar. Now that we've been accustomed to living in a pandemic, the state officers are prepared to have a series of events and programs taking place from January to July 2021. Right off the bat, our events, we're going to have more visitations, district events, and state events. And we're happy to announce 2 social programs, our mini golf tournament and 6 for 6. So beginning with some of our events, Sweet Art Weekend, February 12th through the 14th at the Embassy Suites in Brookfield. We're going to have a really cool Friday off-campus event, Whirly Ball. It includes go-karts, basketball, other fun little games, and bowling. So we're really excited about that big event. I think it'll be really cool to have everybody together, both DeMolay, any Jobies and Sweet Arts that accompany us. So we also have, what's really nice about the Embassy Suites is the big rooms that come with the hotel. Everyone is going to have their own bed, and a big banquet area is included so that we can fit 4 people to a table. And we will follow social distancing guidelines, both within the rooms and at our banquet. And I will preface for when we get to the Q&A part later, if there are any questions about COVID guidelines when it comes to Sweet Art Weekend, please reach directly out to Mom Amy Hiritsky, and please do not ask us. We're also very excited to announce that the Court of Chevaliers will be performing the Chevalier ceremony Sunday, right after the church service. So if you watched our Honors Day video, the state officers announced that we will be having the Chevaliers come in at Sweet Art Weekend to perform the ceremony so that those DeMolay that would have received their Chevalier this year will still have that opportunity in front of a crowd and receive that. And ultimately, we're just really happy to say that this is going to be their biggest Sweet Art Weekend yet. And I can't state enough how happy I am with Gavin and the rest of the officers and their work. Moving forward, some of our district events. Each district, both districts 2, 3, and 4, will plan a mini golf social, a district meeting, a ritual college, and an obligatory day observation of their choosing. Ritual colleges are a cooperative event between the districts and the state priory. Well, the state priory will come in and teach the young men different ritual and public speaking techniques, and the districts plan the logistics. Districts 2 and 3 will also have joint colleges and meetings. Excuse me. I won't go over all of the district events that we'll have. That will be included in the calendar that we'll send out later. But some of our upcoming district events, districts 2 and 3, their joint ritual college with the state priory will be on February 7th. District 4's meeting will be in late February. And districts 2 and 3's joint meeting will be on March 27th. Some big state events that are in the works. Right off the bat, charity. Sarah is planning a really cool charity social. A blow-up movie day where we'll be able to be outside in an outdoor park, probably near a lakefront. A series of cool activities for everybody, an opportunity for Job's daughters to join us, and Masonic bodies as a whole to join us. Pay to enter tournaments, all money will go towards the Shriners Hospital, and we're hoping to have a big movie be played over a projector screen that night. And the state social is going to be based off of the TBSO format. More details to follow as we try to figure out where we can slide that social into the calendar. Mini golf, and this is one of our social programs that we're really happy to announce. A mini golf tournament is going to happen between the 3 districts. Each district will hold their own tournaments to find the best players, and those players will then represent their district against the other district, and of course, competition between the principal officers, just so that we can establish our dominance. The older guys, we gotta slide that in somewhere. So each district will have 3 DeMolay and 1 advisor represent their district. Lowest score, it should just say best par. When competing against the other teams, the team with the lowest overall score will win a pizza party for their entire district at Conclave 2021. District 2, their mini golf tournament will be March 20th at the Ozaki Sports Center in Port Washington. District 3 will have theirs on March 27th at the Moreland Golf Center in New Berlin. And District 4, which we're happy to join them on, was today at the Mulligan's Mini Golf and Driving Range in Racine. And we are hoping to have the tournament in April, probably in Prairieville Park in Waukesha. 6 for 6. 6 for 6 is a chapter development program where each individual member completes a series of tasks that seek to develop them on one hand as members and on the other hand promote their chapters. The principal officers were working on this for quite a long time. We didn't necessarily want to do a financial development membership program. We found this to be a more efficient program that matched with our vision and our ideals. So in early summer, Wisconsin DeMolay will hopefully go to Six Flags, and by completing a series of tasks, members can get a free trip. And I should also mention that prospective members go for free. Simple as that. The two different kinds of tasks, there is an individual development and a chapter promotion, and each has 3 objectives for a total of 6. So under individual development, if DeMolay complete their LCCs or their RD, return obligations, and or earn 6 merit bars of any color, and on their chapter promotion, if they perform a public ceremony at a Masonic or DeMolay event, write an article or send a picture of their activity to the Wisconsin DeMolay newsletter, the social media pages, the Wisconsin Masonic Journal, any kind of publication is great. And finally, visiting every chapter in their district, and virtual meetings do count. By completing 3 out of the 6 tasks, a DeMolay can go to Six Flags completely paid for. And we'll be sending out a flyer with a little bit more details in there that I think will be easier to read for everybody. And those will be sent out along with our spring calendar and other resources. And I'm happy to announce that following our state officer meeting today, we were able to put down some ideas for Conclave 2021. Just right off the bat, Carthage College, where we were supposed to be this year in 2020, is where we'll be next year. And the theme the state officers chose was the NBA. So we're going to have an NBA theme. The principal officers will be the, may they rest in peace, the Seattle Supersonics before they became the Oklahoma City Thunder. And the advisors will be the Charlotte Hornets, because they are one of the worst teams in the NBA.
We'll talk about that later, sir.
So each chapter will be their own team. We're coming up with some really cool ways of implementing basketball into the program. We understand that some people aren't into basketball. Some DeMolay are not into basketball. Some DeMolay are really into basketball. So we're going to try and find a cool middle balance. Having a diverse state officer corps helps that we were able to balance those interests. Planning begins this December with promotion beginning after Sweetheart Weekend. And our vision for Conclave 2021 is to have new kinds of activities rather than the same old recycled activities from previous conclaves. That's very important to some of us older members who've been around for quite a while and have seen all different kinds of conclaves, with a greater emphasis on recreational events. So to close this keynote, I have some personal notes. It has been absolutely difficult to put off all of our events to the spring. The officers, both district and principal, had a whole slew of really cool events for this fall. And while we were hoping that the pandemic would get better over the summer, and it just didn't, and it's unfortunate that we've had to push them off. However, as I mentioned earlier, there is a silver lining, and the silver lining is we now know how to operate within the pandemic, for better or worse, and we know how to adapt our events to the situation at hand. So the spring is going to turn into a term within a term. When you see the spring calendar that we'll send out later, I think you'll all be surprised by the amount of events that the state officers have. It honestly looks like a year's worth of events between January and July, and we're okay with that. Some other fall notes. We love traveling. That's been the highlight of our term so far. Like I mentioned earlier, we estimate that the principal officers already will travel at minimum 20,000 miles combined as of today. But by the end of the year, we anticipate that principal officers will travel at minimum 20,000 miles each. That's something that we're very, very proud about. Obviously, it's going to be a little different. For example, it depends on the chapters and the events that we go to. Gavin is in Fond du Lac and I'm in Madison, so traveling is a little longer for Gavin and I. But we're willing to visiting chapters matters to us. We enjoy going to see members, so we're going to keep doing it. Visitations are fun and exciting. We enjoy being a part of your meetings and events, like I just said. Please continue to send us information about your upcoming events and meetings. We really would love to go. It's a little difficult when we get information about an event a couple of days prior. Contrary to popular belief, the officers have lives too. They got to travel far. They have work and school. Sarah and I are at university. The State Illustrious Knight Commander is also at university for Priory. So thank you for allowing us to join you. Please continue to send us information and we would love to attend. Another big note that I have is that we are bringing accountability back to the State Officer Corps. I can't stress that enough. I think that in years past, the office of the State Master Counselor has diminished quite a bit in the weight of the title, as well as all state officers. But really, we hold ourselves accountable. We have a great state officer advisor that gives us the space that we need to breathe and work, but also step in and keep us on the right track. We're glad that we have had the opportunity to work with a series of different advisors on different events and projects, but ultimately it's what we do within. If tasks are being completed, we have a system, we back each other up, and if we fall short, we come up with solutions together. And to close out here, I'm excited to release our spring calendar, mini golf and 6for6 programs. But ultimately, my final thought as State Master Counselor is that I'm just incredibly proud of my officers. They have shown absolutely incredible and tremendous resolve, flexibility, and efficiency. The principal officers, they work like a well-oiled machine, and the districts have continued to surpass any expectation that I have. All the officers have taken my system of organization, maybe sometimes too much organization, but they've been able to take the system that I've built and the vision that I came into this office with, and they've ran with it. Their feedback establishes a precedent for future officers. I think that as this term continues, not only with what we're doing here, but the rewritten bylaws that we're working on the back end, that we are establishing a good precedent and foundation for future officers to build upon. That's very important to Henry and Gavin and I as we age out at the end of this year. Again, I'm very proud. I can't say that enough. So this concludes the keynote, and I will open it up for question and answer of all different kinds. The principal officers are all here. Some of our district officers are in the chat. And we have Dad Beaudry with us too, if anybody needs an advisor's point of view. So thank you. And again, I'll open it up. Oops. Okay.
Dad Russo has a question.
Okay.
He should be able to
Carl.
unmute himself.
Carl, you're muted.
Hold on.
Master Counselor, a couple of comments. The first is a obvious congratulations to you and your state officers for what you have done this year during difficult times. And I've been in DeMolay a little bit, few years. I think it was 1956 or 57. And this is the most impressed I've ever been by the leadership corps from our state officers. You have an excellent plan. you should be proud of it, and congratulations. I have a couple of things that I would like to bring to the forefront. Dad Wells can add beyond my comments at a future discussion, but we're working hard at Northern Lights to rebuild a chapter, and we're looking at devising a model that draws in outlying lodges in a rural area with activities. Actually, it is going to be a full force effort from church bulletins to printed material to movies and basketball and bowling, to bring young men together to work with our school leaders. We have the fortunate ability in the Northwoods to actually have access to schools. So we really are looking forward to rebuilding and building a chapter. It may become a model for statewide activities. I would also like to point out that we are offering to the state staff the opportunity on August 7, Saturday, 2021, to attend a huge car show, boat show, tractor show, motorcycle show at Three Lakes, Wisconsin. And we would like to offer your group to have a tent for information, 10 by 10 tent with your displays. I would suggest that you consider using Oatmeal Lake for your evening base. And we expect to have several thousands of visitors from the local area. And our DeMolay chapter will be working with the state staff so that we can get the word out for that. I'd also suggest that somewhere down the line, you take a look at the honorary DeMolay degree. It's a way of getting some advisors re-excited, recontacted, reestablished. And for those who have not been fortunate enough to be active DeMolays, a chance to have themselves listed as honorary DeMolays. I don't want to take any more time, but just congratulations on what you and all of you people are doing. It's impressive, absolutely impressive.
Thank you, Dad Wuso. We really appreciate the compliments. That really does mean a lot from you. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing Northern Lights rebuild. And if there's anything that us officers can do, we would love to assist. Just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I think Dad Wells can be my moderator here. Yeah, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. I'm on the iPad, so I'm trying to swipe through the
If
pages.
anybody does have a question, just feel free to unmute yourself and shoot. Don't actually shoot.
Brian, one additional thing, we
Sure.
do not know what the impact of the COVID-19 will be on our activities at the Butler DeMolay Retreat Center for the next year. At this point, I would think it's going to be day usage. Our problem with overnight usage and masks and sleeping conditions and eating when you have two tiny tables in the dining room, that means two people can eat at a time and you have room for 6 out on the porch. We've got some problems that we have to be able to deal with. So we'll just play that by ear, be aware we want you using the facility, but we can't use it where we would place people in vulnerable situations.
Great, thank you for letting us know. It'll definitely be interesting to see how we can use the center for planning weekend. Any chapter that wishes to use it next summer, assuming things haven't gotten better by then. I suppose we'll play it by ear, you know.
Absolutely.
So. Any other questions?
I'm sure Dad Ballmer has some questions.
All right, well, if there are no questions or comments, then this concludes the keynote address. I suppose I can go one more time if there's any questions or comments of any kind of the state officers, we're here to answer them. But if not, then I appreciate everybody taking time out of their evenings to allow us to speak to you. And we look forward to releasing a lot of our material and our plans either tonight or in the upcoming time or so. So thank you again. And that's pretty much it. So thank you.